Namaste. Welcome to yoga. You might like to have a block or a paperback book handy for this session. Don't worry if you can't get hold of that. We're going to be looking at the core muscles today. So you might hear yoga teachers give the cue, engage the core, which is a great cue if you know what to do. A lot of people will think, well, it's something to do with drawing in the tummy, which it is, but there's so much more to it than that. So the core muscles is about 10 different groups of muscles, which help support the movement of the spine. They're either keeping it steady and still or supporting it as it flexes and bends and twists. So today we're going to try and identify those muscles, get a feel for what they do, see if we can fire them up and do some postures which will really benefit from engaging that core. So coming to standing, let's discover some of these core muscles. If you place your hands on the side of your waist and you cough or go to cough, you'll probably feel some muscles tensing under your hands. These are your transverse abdominals. They go all around the sides of the waist and the back of the body as well as along the front, like a lot of elastic bands around your waist. They want to be drawn in towards the spine and you'll feel them being engaged. Also, up the front of the tummy, up the front of the abdomen, we have the rectus abdominis, and this is the muscles that draw us into a forward bend. So they bring the body inwards. And these are sometimes known as your six-pack, and they're quite superficial. They're near the top of the body, just under the skin. So they're the ones that you see people building up, only part of the core. You don't need a six-pack to engage the core, I promise. You have the obliques, which are diagonal muscles, internal obliques and external obliques going in the opposite direction. And it's these muscles which you'll feel twisting the spine and moving the torso from side to side. We've also got pelvic floor muscles. So these crisscross from the side of the hips and from the front of the pubic bone to the tailbone at the back, like this hammock of muscles that we can draw up like we were drawing it up and inside us. People often forget the back of the body. We've got the erector spinae muscles going all up the spine, which help us open the front of the body. Okay, they draw us into a back bend, if you like, but certainly pull us up straight from a forward fold. It's the erector spinae which draw us up, and they all want to be working. Also, you've got the glutes, strong buttock muscles. If they are engaged, that's going to help support the pelvis and the torso. Thinking about the thighs, we want them a little firm, lifted up, and that's also going to engage the muscles around the pelvis. So with all of that going on, there's a lot of work in the core. If you've got a block, then grab it now. If not, I want you to imagine that you're placing a block between your thighs. We're going to try and find some of those muscles. So come into Tadasana. Standing mountain pose. Light engagement at the moment with that block, just holding it in place. I want you to think about, first of all, drawing the tummy towards the spine, but in and up as well. So from the pubic bone, drawing it upwards, and the side waist, the front waist, and all around the back, coming in, like one of those corsets or girdles that you see weightlifters wear to support their backs. Okay, you've got one of them all around you. Feel that engagement, good. Draw the heart up. So those erector spinae muscles are working and keeping the spine upright, nice and lifted. And then squeeze the block. Okay, so we're using the thighs, lifting up from the knees, up and in. Glutes are engaged. Squeeze those buttock muscles in towards the block. Don't lose this engagement around the tummy. Can you lift the pelvic floor? Okay, everything's working. Give it 100%. I want you to squeeze that block or imaginary block between your thighs really hard and then ease off. Can you ease off to about 50%? Can you make sure that the jaw and the shoulders stay relaxed? Take the block away and then come back into that posture and feel what it's like to be supported by engaging those core muscles. We want to keep that during our practice. I'll keep reminding you. So come to sitting. If you've got a block or a cushion to sit on, get those hips lifted. Allow the knees to drop down. And remember, if cross-legged isn't right for you, bring the legs out in front of you in a comfortable position. Everything in my yoga classes is optional, so you do what's right for you. Draw the spine up nice and tall, up through the crown of the head, and drop that gaze down to the floor, closing the eyes. Let's bring in that life-giving breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. See how that feels for you today. Letting that tummy swell on the inhale, filling up the lungs. And exhaling, relaxing the shoulders, drawing the tummy towards the spine on the end of the exhale. Keep that breath going. Settling into our practice, onto our mats. Lovely. I want you to gradually bring in a seated cat-cow movement. So taking an inhale to prepare. On the exhale, we're going to tilt the hips back and drop the head so that the back rounds. We feel a stretch along those erector spinae muscles, drawing in the tummy. And on the inhale, we tilt the pelvis forward, lifting the heart. The erector spinae muscles contract to open the front of the body. Good, keep that going. So we've got the rectus abdominis as we round the back for that cat stretch, drawing the tummy in forwards, and then erector spinae, lifting the heart as we open. Keep the breath going. You're moving with your breath in this, feeling those core muscles. Is there a little bit engagement in the pelvic floor, around the glutes, just a little, and bring that to stillness. Let's try and fire up the obliques, okay? These crisscross muscles at our sides. Bringing the feet in front of you if they're not already there. Hands behind the hips to support you. Lifting up. Inhale in the center. Exhale, knees drop to the right. You look over your left shoulder. Inhale back to center. Exhale, knees drop to the left as you look over your right shoulder. Keep this going and see if you can feel those oblique muscles in your side waist, helping this twist to happen from side to side. Okay, slow movements are going to help feel into the movements of these muscles. Do an equal number on each side, then bring that to stillness again. Good stuff. We're going to come down to laying on the floor. Move that block or cushion out of the way. Let's see if we can use our core muscles to control this movement. It's going to take us 3 breaths to get down to the floor. Remember, if this isn't right for you, if there's any pain happening in your spine or coccyx or the stomach, then you do something different. You can relax down, but that doesn't mean the rest of you can slack. I want those core muscles working. So let's sit up nice and tall on an inhale. On an exhale, we're going to begin to roll back. We're drawing back, but we're going to stop. Okay, feel the muscles kick in to hold us here as we take another inhale. On the exhale, we're going to roll down a little further, but not down to the floor, not yet. Keep those feet on the floor if you can. Now can you feel the core muscles tummy muscles working hard, sides of the waist. Squeeze the glutes a little, feel the thighs doing their work, and then on the next exhale, you can lower yourself slowly back and release and relax once you get down to the floor. Bring the hands beside the hips, feet flat on the floor, knees bent. I want you to feel the lumbar arch. So placing a hand under the small of your back, you'll feel there's a natural arch in the spine. If we inhale here, on the exhale, see if you can draw the spine down to the floor to press on the hands. Good. We're going to see if we can engage the pelvic floor now while we do this. So on the exhale, I want you to feel the muscles of the pelvic floor lifting up into the body and then releasing again as that arch comes back into the spine. So pelvic tilts here. Exhale, presses the back flat on the floor. Inhale, lets it arch. Drawing up the pelvic floor on the exhale. Practice letting go on the inhale and then finding that engagement again on the exhale. Excellent. Next, we're going to do some yogic cycling. Draw the knees over the chest and taking the right foot up into the air, slowly make a circle and then take the left foot into the air, like you were cycling a bicycle, making those pedals bigger and further away. So nice big circles now. The legs are coming straight out and down. When you feel any tension in the lower back, then you can bend the knees and the foot comes to the floor. Take a little pause, drop the feet to the floor. Now, if you thought that was hard work, I want you to really feel what those muscles should have been doing during that motion. So we're going to do one leg at a time. Press that back down towards the floor. Engage the core. Lift the pelvic floor. Squeeze the glutes, tummy, sides of the waist. Everything is firm. Hands can be on the floor. The palms can be down at the floor, or they can anchor the hips. Inhale. The right knee comes over the chest. Exhale. The foot pushes towards the ceiling. Inhale there. Exhale. It comes down. Straight for as long as possible, then bends. Foot drags along the floor. Inhale. The knee over the chest. Exhale as it pushes up towards the ceiling. It stays there for the inhale, flexing the foot. Exhale, nice, big, stretch out, down towards the floor. Let the knee bend when it needs to for the lower back. Try the other side. Inhale, the left knee comes over the hips. Exhale, foot stretches up towards the sky. Stay there for the inhale. Exhale, start taking the leg down towards the floor. Bend the knee at the last minute. Foot comes along the floor. Inhale over the chest. Exhale up to the sky. Stay there for the inhale. Exhale slowly, lowering the leg down. Bend the knee. Bring the foot to the floor. Now the chest. Let's try them both together. Feel these core muscles in action. Hands anchored on the floor or on your hips. Bend both knees over the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Take the feet flat up to the ceiling. Flexed toes. Stay there for the inhale. Exhale. Slowly start to lower the legs. You will feel when those core muscles start shaking, the thighs feel like they're working. Maybe that's the point to bend the knees. Maybe you can go a little lower. Don't strain the back. Bring the feet in. Let's do it one more time. Let's see if we can do it in stages this time. So let's reach the feet up to the ceiling. Inhale there. Exhale, about a third of the way down. Inhale again. Draw up the pelvic floor, all those core muscles. Exhale a little lower. If you need to bend the knees at this point, please do. Inhale. Exhale, the feet are coming down towards the floor. Bend the knees whenever you need to, and then bring the feet back flat onto the floor and release all of those muscles. Let everything have a rest for a moment here. If you've got a block for this next bit, you can place it between your thighs again, or that book. If not, keep the knees pointing up to the ceiling and imagine you've got a block to push into. Bridge pose. Placing the hands down beside the hips, walk the flats of the feet up towards the hips until the heels lift off, and that's a little too far. You want to point the knees up to the ceiling and keep them pointing up to the ceiling. Squeeze that block, that's going to help that engagement. We want to use these glutes now. Pressing the feet down into the floor. Lift the hips, roll up the spine. Inhaling, exhaling, rolling back down again. Use all of these core muscles. The glutes really kick in on that lift. They help support the pelvis as you lift it up. Erector spinae muscles opening out the chest and then controlling the roll back down the spine, one vertebra at a time. If you feel the spine moving in chunks, then this is the exercise for you. Eventually the back will become more flexible and the vertebrae will roll down rather than come down several at a time. Last time now, pushing into the feet, really opening the chest, lifting those hips, and slowly, slowly roll back down with control. Use all of those core muscles, rolling down the spine, hips coming down onto the floor last, and that delicious release. Let go of all those core muscles and relax. Nice deep breaths here. We're going to come to tabletop position. It's your choice how you get there. You could roll over onto your side and press yourself up, or if you want to test out those core muscles, for a bit of fun, cross the ankles, hold on to the big toes, breathe in, engage all those core muscles, breathe out and roll up. If that didn't work out first time, it's up to you. You can give it another go or save it for another day. Come on over to kneeling. Hands and knees, hands directly underneath the shoulders, knees directly underneath the hips. Find a nice straight spine, crown of the head reaches forward, sit bones reach back, and discover your cat-cow movement in this posture. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale, dipping the pelvis, keep the core engaged. Lift the heart, lift the head. So those tummy muscles, we want them to be working, supporting the spine as it rounds and as it flexes. Don't release and let go of everything on the inhale. This time we're keeping it going. Can you keep the breath going and the movement whilst that core is engaged? Good stuff. Bring it back to neutral and walk the hands forward for a half down dog, a puppy dog stretch. Palms press into the front of the mat, hips stay up high, nice length down the back, sinking, melting the heart towards the floor. Good stuff. And walking the hands back, not quite underneath the shoulders, ready to lift up in a full down dog if that's right for you, or staying here in kneeling if you prefer. Tuck the toes, inhale, exhale, lifting the hips. Let's bend the knees and try that again. Lift those sit bones up to the sky and then draw the heels down towards the floor. Try one leg at a time now, bending the left knee. Push that right heel down to the floor. You can do this from kneeling. Remember, take the leg back and then swap over. Bending the right knee, push down through that left heel. stretching out the back of the legs. Let's try both together. Inhaling, bend the knees, lifting those hips up. Exhale, heels coming down, nice long spine. And then rest down to kneeling. I want to fire up the obliques again, these muscles at the side of the body. So you can do this by coming in and out of downward facing dog, or we can use a hovering cat. Either way, the toes are going to be tucked ready, and we're going to lift the knees off of the floor as we exhale. And then as we inhale, I want you to take the hips over to the left in a little twisted squat, either coming down to the knees as you exhale or through to down dog. Then we're going to the other side. The inhale takes the hips to the right, bending the knees. Exhale through down dog or kneeling. Go to the left. Well done. If you're coming to kneeling in between, you know this could be done on the forearms. Always options to do these hand supporting exercises in a different way if your wrists do not like taking the weight. Take a couple more twists from side to side. Can you feel those oblique muscles working? Are the rest of the core muscles working, or have you let everything go? Okay, finish when you've done an equal number on each side. You can come down to kneeling and lie down onto your tummy. Bring the hands into Sphinx pose. So this is elbows under the shoulders. You're on your forearms, spreading into the palms, looking ahead. Nice deep breaths here. And you can stay working here, or you can lower down, bring the hands back under the shoulders, keep the elbows tucked, and we'll come up and down into Cobra. So whether you're working in Sphinx or Cobra, on the inhale, the chest draws up. Those back muscles lift you up. Exhale, you rest down again, relaxing down, letting the head go. Now, we want the work to be in the upper back, remember, not the lower back. So let's engage those glutes, support the core. Can we lift the chest up and forward, the gaze up and forward, and then release down again? Can you feel those core muscles working? Twice more, your choice. You could be working in Sphinx pose, making this your last. Rise up, exhale down. I want you to now to bring your hands under your shoulders and push yourself all the way back to child pose. Ease those hips back towards the heels. Feel the release in your back as you slowly make the transition into this gentle forward fold now. Hands stay forward today. Release the forehead down to the floor, or let the head be heavy as the forehead moves towards the floor. Breathe into the back of the body. Good stuff. Rise up to kneeling. One great posture for testing out just how much you're using those core muscles is plank pose. If we don't use the core muscles in plank, we're going to get a saggy, rounded bit of wood. Okay, there's different ways of coming into it. Let's explore the posture first, and then I'll show you some options. So classical plank pose is with the arms straight. The wrists want to be directly under the shoulders, joints above joints. And we can do this in stages. First of all, take your right foot back, tuck the toes, push into the hands, push into the back toes, engage all of those core muscles, and see if you can lift that bottom knee off of the floor and come down again. Now, if your hands and arms don't like this, there's an option to do forearm plank. This is strong on the core, but it's kinder on the hands. So up to you. Try the other side. This time you're taking the left foot back, and if you're down on forearms, then notice the elbows are now under the shoulders Otherwise, it's wrists under shoulders. Press into the hands or arms. Press into those back toes. Engage all the core muscles. Lift the knee off of the floor and come down again. Okay, hopefully that gives you a feel for those core muscles firing up. We'll test it out coming into a full plank. So either on your forearms or on your palms, both feet now shoot back, and we want our head, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles all in one long line. Can you feel the core working to hold you here? You can come down to kneeling. You can keep that core engaged. And then everybody drop onto their knees, ease back to child pose. So whilst you rest there are lots of options for plank pose. You can take the weight off of your hands and wrists into forearms, and you can also support the posture by dropping one knee or both knees to the floor. We're going to take the poses that we've looked at into a little flow here with options. We're all going to start from child pose, and together let's flow through option 1. Inhale, coming up to kneeling. Exhale, take the hands forward for a puppy dog stretch. Inhale, come into forearm plank. You can have the knees down, you can lift them up, and then exhale, resting down onto your tummy. Your choice whether you take Sphinx or Cobra here. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, pushing yourself all the way back into child pose. Okay, you can do exactly the same thing again, or option 2, rising up. Inhale to tabletop pose, tuck the toes. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, float forward, bring the shoulders over those wrists into plank pose. We want a nice straight plank. You can always take the feet back if you need to a little, dropping the knees if you want to, but keep that core engaged. Come down to the floor. Hands can stay under the shoulders or they can come forward. So you're coming up, rising up in Sphinx or in Cobra, inhaling, and then the exhale pushes us slowly all the way back to child pose. So I want you to take that twice more at your own pace, your own breath rate. Take the option that is right for you. Whether you're coming up into dog or puppy dog, whether it's forearm plank or plank. Lowering down to the floor, you have the choice of Sphinx or Cobra. And then you exhale all the way back to child. Inhale, rising to tabletop. Exhale, puppy dog or down dog. Inhale, your version of plank. Exhale, down to your belly. Inhale, Cobra or Sphinx. Exhale, all the way back to child, resting there this time. Taking some nice, deep, mindful breaths. Rising up to all fours, tucking the toes. You can come through down dog or you can start walking the feet towards the hands. That's where we're all going to join together in our forward fold near the front of your mat. Have the feet hip width apart for support. You can have them closer together if you're used to that. Let the spine dangle nice and long. Release the head with a little shake. Maybe hold opposite elbows. And from this forward fold, we're going to practice coming up and down in a couple of different ways. So first of all, releasing the arms bend to the knees, press into the feet. Use the strength of the legs to slowly roll up. Okay, bringing the shoulders back when you reach the top of the posture. So for some people, that's the right thing to do. You can really bend into the legs and you can slowly control bringing the weight upwards. For other people, it might be better to keep a flatter back. It's a stronger way of coming up, so it might not be right for you, but we're going to experience coming forward and up with a flatter back. So starting with the hands at the heart, let's take a nice deep breath here. Engage those core muscles. Draw everything in. Slightly feel the glutes. Squeeze the thighs a little. Zip everything up as though you're putting on that tight pair of trousers. Hands at the heart. Inhale. Take the arms up. Exhale. We're going to float halfway down. Hinge at the hips. Bring the arms out to the side like an aeroplane. And then when the heart is parallel with the floor, stay there and take another deep inhale. Exhale, continue your journey, bending at the hips rather than at the tummy. When you feel the back tighten, the legs tighten, release the knees. See if you can keep a long, straight spine a little longer. At the end of the posture, we soften and round the back. To come up with a flat back is a strong movement. Press down into the feet. Going to do it halfway again. Start to lift your head up. Lift the arms out to the side. When the head is in line with the heart, get that nice straight back. Take an inhale, exhale there. The next inhale, really use the legs, really use the core to lift your torso up. Hands can lift up above the head. And on the exhale, hands come down to the heart and you're in Tadasana. Keep those two options in mind. It's always up to you how you rise up, how you fold forward. Let's try a balancing posture. Again, using these core muscles to support the spine and keep us in control. I want you to stand with the feet hip width apart and take the right foot back behind you. I'm going to explore Warrior 3 and variations going into it. So first of all, I want you to find a diagonal line of energy through the crown of the head down to that back heel. One big diagonal line, like you've got a rod of iron through the middle of the body. Take the hands back at the same angle as that back leg is. Breathe. Press into that left leg, the standing leg, and down into the foot. And when you're ready, float the right toes off of the floor. Flex the back foot. Breathe here, and you can stay here in this posture. Maybe the toes touch down to the floor if you feel wobbly. Or, keeping the hips as level as you can start to hinge forward and lift the back foot as you go. So you're trying to keep the body in a straight line. You can come to a T shape or you can be upright like we were at the start. If you're very familiar with the posture, then you can bring the hands forward for a challenge. Keep this back thigh inwardly rotated to keep the toes pointing down at the floor rather than out to the side. Breathe here. Core muscles are supporting the posture. Rising up, inhaling. Exhaling, hands back down beside the body. Notice how that felt. Take a moment. Feel into that standing leg. Let the body assimilate. Pressing now into the right foot. That's going to be the standing leg. Take the left toes back behind you. Shoot energy back through the hands. Everything is one solid line. Engage those core muscles supporting around the pelvis and the torso. When you're ready, lifting off the back foot, flexing the toes. Keep the chin tucked. The head, the neck, the torso, all in one line. If you want to tilt forward, you can. You know the options Arms can come out to the side or even point forward. We want to keep these hips level. Don't let that left hip lift up. And that little inward rotation of the back thigh to keep the toes pointing down to the floor. Use the breath. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, foot down to the floor. Take a moment in mountain pose. Good. And then take a turn to the left and face the long edge of your mat. Take a big stride. Take your feet out as wide apart as the legs are long. And turn your right toes towards the front edge of your mat. Adjust the back heel. Take it back a little perhaps. Keep those hips nice and wide. Tummy drawn in and up. Inhale. Arms lift up shoulder height. Coming into warrior two on the exhale. Bending that front knee. Good. Now, as well as looking at that knee being over the ankle, we want to zip everything up, draw it in. Core muscles are engaged, thighs are strong, glutes are engaged. Erector spinae muscles are drawing the chest up, opening it. Looking down, that middle finger of the front arm. Do you feel strong? Okay, you are yogic warriors. Relax the shoulders. Nice big breath here. Inhale. Exhale, windmill the arms. Bring the hands to frame that front foot. Turn the back toes and you're in a runner's lunge. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. You can always drop the knee here if you want to. Push down into the hands. You're stepping back either to kneeling or to downward facing dog. Take a breath in downward facing dog if you want to. Bend the knees, lift the sit bones to the ceiling, and then straightening the legs, the heels come down towards the floor. Melt the heart down. Everybody ease back to child pose and rest there. You can stay here for the next few breaths, or we can take that little flow, that little sequence using our plank pose. Inhale, rising up, tuck the toes. Exhale, either walking the hands forward for puppy dog or coming into downward facing dog. Then to plank. Inhaling in that position. Exhale, dropping the knees, coming down to the floor. Inhale is going to be cobra or sphinx, your choice. And the exhale pushes you all the way back to child pose. We'll join together here. Then we're going to rise to kneeling, preparing to come to a forward fold, so tucking the toes, walking into down dog or walking forward now with the feet towards the hands. Coming to the top of your mat, remember how you want to rise up. Press down into those feet. Bend the knees a little. Floating the hands either flat back or roll yourself up. You choose. And come to mountain pose at the top of your mat. Take a couple of breaths there. And then take a turn to the right. Let's do our warrior to the other side. Nice big stride. Go on, you can go a little wider than that. Toes start pointing towards the long edge of the mat, and then you're going to point your left toes towards the front of the mat. Adjust the back foot so that you feel nice and steady. Inhale, lift the arms, shoulder height. Look down that left arm. Exhale, come into warrior two. Press down into the feet. Fire up those core muscles. Okay, all around the hips, the pelvis, Lift that pelvic floor. Draw the belly all around. Don't forget the back, the sides of the body. Engage that core, yogis, and feel powerful. Inhale here. Exhale, spin the hands around and down to the floor. Turn the back toes towards the front of the mat. Lovely. Inhale in your runner's lunge before you step back, either to kneeling and into child, or taking a moment in downward dog before we come down to the floor. We'll all meet in child pose, and again you can choose to rest there for the next few breaths or come through the vinyasa. Rising up if you want to. Tucking toes or walking the hands forward, down dog or puppy dog. Coming into your plank, inhale there. Using all those core muscles, exhale down to the floor with control. Either Sphinx or Cobra, rise up, inhale. Exhale, push yourself all the way back to child pose. Widen the knees, release the head down and breathe. Use the hands to gently press yourself up. Swing the legs forward and come into an M shape. So sitting with the feet flat on the floor, knees bent, hands can be behind you, just behind the hips. Lift the heart. We're going to take boat pose. Again, like the plank, this is a great test of those core muscles. Boat pose is about tipping back and supporting and holding the posture on your sit bones. Any issues with the coccyx or lower spine, then you can do this posture laying on the ground instead and lift the shoulders off to fire up the core muscles and get the same feeling of engagement. So I want you to experiment a little. We'll start off by finding the posture. Inhale lifts the heart. Exhale is going to tip us back. You can have the hands on the floor. Maybe the hands come behind the thighs. Let's flex the feet. Is that core engaged? Are the muscles all around the spine supporting it? Keep the chest lifted. If the spine is rounded, you're not using those core muscles. Lift the heart a little more. Exhale, rock out of it. Okay, maybe you're feeling what we need to do to hold us there. There's some more options to try if you want to. Do rest, otherwise if you prefer. Okay, starting with the hands either on the floor or the back of the knees. Inhale, lift the heart, long line through the crown of the head. Exhale, rocking back. Flex those feet. Okay, push through the balls of the feet now. You can lift the shins so that they're parallel with the floor. You can let go of the legs. How is this feeling? Engage that core. You're going to need it. If you want to, you can push through the balls of the feet so that the legs come straight, but don't lose that lovely lift. And breathe. Breathing in, breathing out. One more deep breath if you can. Before you bend the knees, come out of the posture. And everyone's going to be grateful that we're coming to lying down on our backs and you can give the knees a hug. Squeeze those knees into the body and have a lovely rock and roll. Release the feet down to the floor. Stretch the legs out long. If you've got room above your head, on an inhale, I want you to lift the arms up and stretch them above the head. If you haven't, really reaching through the crown of the head here is what you want. Reach through the toes, nice big inhale. Full body stretch. On the exhale, the hands come back towards the hips, the knees lift up towards the chest, and hugging the shins, squeeze the knees in. Twice more like that. So inhale, nice big length in the spine, full body stretch if you can. Exhale, knees come up towards the chest, hands come onto the shins for a hug. Nice. Drop the feet down to the floor. Take the arms out to the side in a T shape, palms facing up towards the sky. Ready for a lying twist. I'm going to deliberately shimmy the hips a little over to the left-hand side. Inhale, lifting the knees up over the chest. Gluing that left shoulder to the floor. Exhale, drop the knees to the right. Okay, remember it's the obliques that are helping this twist. But the tummy can now relax. Once you've settled into the posture, if you've got that block or book, it might be nice to bring it under the knees or between the knees at this point. And release and relax down into gravity. Choose to keep the face up to the ceiling, or you can turn so that the nose is in the opposite direction to the knees. Breathe here. Nice deep breaths into the belly. On an inhale, lifting the knees back to center, exhaling feet to the floor, shifting your hips so that everything's back into a central line. Head, shoulders, heart, hips, knees, ankles. Couple of breaths in the middle here. And then deliberately shifting the hips over to the right hand side. Inhale, lift the knees up over the chest. Glue that right shoulder to the floor. Exhale as the knees drop to the left. Find your comfortable position. Maybe the knees need to come away from the elbow a little more. Maybe you prop the knees onto a block, or the block between the knees is sometimes a nice relief. And when you're comfortable, deciding whether you're going to turn your head to the side or leave the nose pointing up to the ceiling. Closing the eyes if you wish, releasing and relaxing into this twist. Breathing deep into the belly, soften those shoulders down. Let the knees drop down towards the floor. On an inhale, bringing the knees back to center, shifting the hips so you come back into that central line. Taking the legs out long, The arms come in by your sides, palms still facing up. Let the toes drop away from each other. Experience Shavasana, corpse pose. And at this point, you can decide to stay here. You could get some extra layers or socks or a blanket, whatever you want to make you more comfortable. Maybe place something underneath your head. Or if the lumbar spine is uncomfortable at all, you can bend the knees, take the feet wide, and let those knees rest together. Constructive rest pose. Settle yourself into a relaxed position. Allow the eyes to gently close. And as you allow yourself to drop ever deeper into this restful relaxation, I'd like to take you on a guided meditation to release and rest those hard-working muscles. So let the jaw be a little loose, the tongue relaxed in the mouth, shoulders soften down towards the floor, and the limbs are heavy. Let every exhale take you a little deeper. With those eyes closed, if that's okay for you, I want you to imagine a warm golden light deep in your very core. Deep in your solar plexus. This is the area under the belly button, under the abdomen, deep down in our center, our core, where all our movement stems from. Imagine this golden, warm, glowing light. As you inhale, the light gets a little brighter, a little bigger. As you exhale, you feel it send out its warmth, soothing around the abdominal muscles, ever expanding with every breath, nourishing and warming around the lumbar spine, the sides of the waist, spreading now around the hips and the pelvis, up around the diaphragm and the ribs. This soothing, warming, golden glow spreading out slowly through your body, around the thighs, moving down the legs, coming up through the torso, the chest, the heart space, the shoulders, down the arms, right down into the fingertips, down the legs, right down into the toes, spreading up the neck, into the head, into the skull, warming and softening, caressing the brain, nourishing and relaxing the skin on the face, right over the crown of the head, down to the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers, bathed in this warming golden light, soothing, relaxing, comforting, resting. Breathe into this. Breathing out any tension in the body, relaxing, letting go. Allow yourself to be soothed by this warm golden light. Taking a few deeper inhales now. Starting to wake up the body as you picture the golden light slowly receding, slowly getting smaller, coming back down towards your center, down into the abdomen, into the tummy, down into your very core, until once again it's this tiny glowing golden light that's always here in your solar plexus, your power pack, your center of energy. Breathing in and out, letting this image go now. Starting to make small movements, perhaps stretching out the fingers and toes, moving the head a little, having a yawn if you would like, stretching out limbs, maybe bringing the knees up over the chest for a hug, making your way slowly onto your right hand side, pausing there, using your hands, slowly pressing yourself up to a seated posture. And we'll finish the class with a couple of deep energizing breaths and an Om Shanti 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 He. Bring the hands to the heart center. Inhale as you take them out to the side, looking up as the palms join together. Sigh out the exhale as they return to the heart. And again, energizing. Inhale through the nose. Sigh out the exhale. And join me in the chant if you wish. Inhaling in. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Taking a bow to yourself, to your practice, to those strong core muscles that we have worked hard today. Namaste.